All right, so welcome to Backtesting Sessions Episode 1. This is going to be maybe a little bit more of a recap than anything because I've already started backtesting this the whole last year and I'm 4 months in, and it just occurred to me that I should start recording this and sharing this because I've had some big revelations and realizations in this 4 months that I've backtested, and let me explain. And I think that they're going to be helpful for anyone, whether you believe in backtesting or don't, and whether you are using backtesting, but maybe you're not getting the results that you expect or want. So let's dive in. Now, obviously backtesting is a little bit controversial. I am a very pro backtesting because it allows you to get the reps in. You know, if you think like you're going to become a pro basketball player, you need to get in the reps, the 10,000 reps they say that you have to master something, right? And with trading, like, look at my calendar here. I am a scalper. I'm on the 1 minute, and look how few trades I take. Now, this isn't true for everybody. Some traders can take 2 or 3 or 4 trades a day. I've seen some traders do 10 a day. So it depends on the person. But a lot of people I know is more like this, where there are days where you don't take trades. So how do you get in 10,000 reps if this is what your trading calendar looks like, right? It's going to take you years. And no, backtesting is not a replacement for live markets, for the emotions that occur in the live markets, or what the experience is like using funded accounts or live accounts, real money, versus a backtesting demo account. They're different. But one thing you can do with backtesting is you can build an incredible amount of trust in your model. You can build trust in your ability to read price and predict where it's going. You can prove your model works. You can collect a ton of data to be able to improve your statistics on your model. And you can go through a learning curve that really is only available in the long term. And by that, what I mean is, and I guess I can explain one of my big realizations lately, is that previously I would, whether it was maybe I would backtest a month and that month would be red, I would think I can't trade. Or I'd backtest a month and be green and think, well, okay, I know what I'm doing. Let's go into the live markets. And similar in the live markets, I would have a green month and think I know what I'm doing. I got this. And then I would have a red month and be like, I have no clue what I'm doing. Let's stop live trading and let's go backtest. And kind of just noticing how a red month was some kind of signal for me to either keep going or stop, right? Well, it occurred to me that just like you can have a red day or a green day, you can have a red week or a green week, that you can have a red month too. But it never sunk in. Like, it never sunk in that most traders would have a red month, especially like the upcoming traders. Maybe you're, kind of starting to get the hang of it. You might actually have a couple red months. And that's normal because you could have 5 green months after that where you kill it. But I didn't know that. I conceptually could understand it, but I'd never experienced it because when I got to that 1 month mark, I just changed courses and I didn't stay the course. And when I saw someone's P&L calendar on the monthly, and I'd never seen that before, like I seen my mentor's P&L calendars and you see it on the weekly or whatever else, and I've heard them talk about their months. And even my mentor recently talked about it. He said, yeah, the last couple months, he goes, I haven't done that great. What are we at? We're December. So he said like October, November, December, not the greatest. And for him, not the greatest, he's still probably green on the month. He's just not very green. Whereas for me, I'm not as good as him. So I'm going to be probably a little bit red on the month, right? And that's just a much different feeling. And he said the same thing. He went on to say, he's like, I killed it over the summer. He said like April, May, June, whatever he said. He's like, I made most of my money over the course of the middle part of the year. And then he also omitted the early part of this year, 2025, in saying he didn't mention January and February at all. And I'll get to that here in a minute. But so I heard him say that, and I saw someone else's P&L calendar where there was like a red month in between 2 green months. And it just occurred to me when I saw that juxtaposition, I'm like, I get it. That makes sense. You, especially as a newer trader like I am, you're going to have red months. Like, that's just a part of it. And so it got me excited to go into backtesting and say, I'm not going to backtest just a month and figure out, oh, how did October of 2024 go or whatever. I'm going to backtest an entire year, and I'm not going to stop until I get that year done and see what happens. And that was just mind-blowing for me, and I'll show you why. So let's start clicking around here. So yeah, here's my current stats. I've backtested through the end of May of 2025. And now look at this P&L curve. Let's see if you can see that. Look at how, so I used a 50K account. I'm risking 250 per trade. I'm targeting, and this changed through the middle of it. So this is where the statistics would actually be better. But originally I was targeting 1-to-1 because I thought that would improve my win rate. That's what everybody says, right? Go to 1-to-1, you'll have a better win rate. And what I found is I just take loss after loss and dig myself into a hole. And then it's really hard to dig yourself out of a hole. And when I started looking at my data, it became very clear. I looked at all of my live trades that I'd taken throughout this entire year. It became very clear that 3R, so many of my winners hit 3R, that was the optimal risk to reward, 3-to-1. And actually I could push it further. I just wanted to be conservative. I think the data said I could almost push 4R and wouldn't change my win rate much. Because I've been working all year to try to change my win rate. That's why one of the other reasons I started this backtesting session, I wanted to do 1-to-1 and see how can I improve my win rate. My win rate just hovers around 42%, 44%, somewhere in there. And it was break even for me with typically getting 1.5R, just a break even trader. And so after I saw that 3R was the ticket for me, and another note, I was able to tighten up my stop loss a little bit by like 20% and then consistently get 3R on my winner. That became a game changer. When I reevaluated all of my past trades, let's see if I have this spreadsheet available. Since we're here, I want to show you this. Yeah, it's up right here. So I evaluated all of my past trades from whatever it was, 1st of November to earlier in the year. And I found that I went from break even to plus 26R. Like, that's a big difference on this one account. If I would have done 3R and tightened my stop a little bit, huge difference from zero, right? So I took this real data, because these are trades I took, and I know I might take them again, and I applied it to my backtesting session here, and it completely turned it around. So for me, 3-to-1 was a game changer. And I know I'm kind of tangenting here, but I'm kind of describing what I'm doing and how this backtesting session has been going. And you can see all throughout here is my P&L was just in drawdown. I brought it back to break even. I'm doing 1-to-1. And then I bring it back down into drawdown, break even, back down to drawdown again. And right down in here is where I switched over to doing 3-to-1. Now there's more than going on than 3-to-1. 3-to-1 wasn't the ticket that caused this P&L curve to just start going parabolic. That was one of the things. And there's something else that I'll show you here in a minute that was a big deal. Now, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. And this was May. So green on the month plus 2.3K. What's that? Plus 10R. So now we go to April. And what's interesting, look how few days I traded in April, and I still was up 2.2K on the month. Again, about 10R. I skipped all this in here, and there's a reason. And I'll talk about that here in a minute. So going back, look at March. Look at how crappy that is. Minus 3R almost. And I want you to note these 2 green weeks, right? And then here's 2 red weeks. And let's go back to February. Here's where I started, which was February. Whole ton of red, and I'm down to R. So I didn't backtest January. My mentors taught me not to trade January, and I've seen it firsthand. It can be dicey. If you're going to trade it, do it on an eval account to build capital. So look at this. Starting in February, I had a red month. I was feeling kind of dejected, right? Then I moved on to March and ended the March still in the red. So I became even more dejected. I'm like, apparently I can't trade. But I stuck with what I said I was going to do, and I said I'm going to back test an entire year. And then I see April, and I go, oh, cool, I'm out of drawdown. And I actually did okay. And I didn't overtrade, and I didn't trade a ton. And then I get to May, and I'm, the account is now whatever the P&L is. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the P&L. I care about the learning. So for me, this experience is really ingraining in a visceral kind of way, red month, green month, red month, green month. And it doesn't mean the end of the world, doesn't mean you can't trade if it's a red month. And I'm going to show you something super interesting for me. So here is a daily chart of 2025, and I started the first week of February. So here's Monday, February 25th on the daily. And the red arrows are red periods, more or less red periods, and the green arrows are green periods. Because obviously I think I had a green week right in here, and then I had like a red week right in here or something like that. But by and large, when I broke it down, we start here, and what do we see? We see consolidation and bearish delivery. And so at this point, we're halfway into March. It's a month and a half of back testing. I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I don't get it. Like, when my model appears bullishly, it's perfect. It looks good, and it just gets walked on. And while I would be maybe more bearish, there were no bearish setups. Or if they were ugly, weren't perfect. I had a real hard time taking shorts. Even though I knew at this, like obviously down in here, I'm like, yeah, the market's bearish. I wasn't getting any setups that I liked for shorts. But I'd get some longs, and typically you can get a retracement. Typically you can squeeze something out of, even if you're offsides, squeeze something out of a retracement on a lower time frame. I'm trading the 1 minute for dang Pete's sake, right? As my kid would say. And so I started to observe that the market was so volatile to the downside. My setup wasn't there. If it wasn't clean, it would just dump without me. And then I would get a long opportunity, and I'd be like, I haven't taken a trade. I guess I'll try a long. And then I would just get walked on time and time again. And then look at this. When the market turned bullish, all of a sudden I was green. And then the market turns bearish, and especially down in here, because we can see the rate of decline is increased. Like, it just dumped. We can see if this arrow is kind of like a trend line. We can see the trend line is, sitting about a 45. And then if we take this as a trend line, I mean, it's like, it's hard. This is like this stretch here is super steep. And then if we kind of go like that, it was just dumping and just walking all over me. And so I learned something here, something super valuable that I think is going to change my trading. And it actually starts to make sense here for me in my live trading at this exact moment. But ultimately for me, if I know the market's bearish, I need to do something completely different because my model isn't appearing, it's not clear, or it doesn't look perfect, and I shouldn't take it the other way. And what's interesting is this is playing out in real time. The last couple months have been more bearish, and I've not been doing as well. I'm not doing as bad as I did in here, but in this bearish price delivery, I struggle. And so for me, it means two things. It means I can just sit out and preserve capital, and that's a win too, because obviously if I'm trading, I could end up, putting my account into drawdown like I did on these 2 months, right? I would have been better off saving my energy and not trading. So that's one thing I learned. But obviously I'm not going to not trade. It means I can dive into this further later, and I can dissect what's a solution. If the market is on the higher time frames bearish, maybe I change my model up. Maybe I accept more imperfect setups. Maybe I don't take longs at all. Now, by and large, NQ, the futures markets, they're just bullish. So you have a 60% chance of being right if you're bullish, historically. And so I do better playing the longs. And I need to, I'm bringing that now into my live trading and paying more attention to it, because I found I can sometimes play both sides. And that's what one of my mentors taught me. He's like, you can be off sides and be right. I don't know if I agree with that. The more I'm learning, after these couple years of trading, I'm seeing that one of the best things you can do is be on sides with order flow. If you're on side with order flow, ugly setups that you wouldn't maybe typically consider taking, they somehow work, right? When you're against order flow, you get walked on. And so that's one of my other big takeaways here, is really making sure, like I've heard other people talk about, like, yeah, you know, you could, if you're unsure about direction, you can play it both ways. And I don't know if I agree with that. I've tried it and it doesn't really work for me personally. And I'm seeing it here in the data, right? I'm seeing the data show, like this whole time, I'm like, I'm going to take longs and try to, because the longs are there and they look pretty, and then I just get walked on. So this has been, so far, the first 4 months out of this year has been an amazing experience. It's really changed a lot for me and improved my confidence a ton, because right now, like I was telling you, on the current markets, we've been more bearish until this current week that we're sitting in. Last 2 months, more bearish. And I've been struggling and I've been thinking, like, what's going on? I can't trade anymore. Earlier this year, I thought I had it figured out. And then now I'm like, I can't trade. This whole fall, I can't trade. Winter, excuse me. I can't trade. And then I come in here and I see these patterns. And I'm like, well, look at this. If the market was going up, I would think I was a trading genius. And I don't think I'm a trading genius, but I would think, like, I can do it. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I can do it. Whereas when the market's going down, I think I can't do it. Now that I have this information, I can act upon it. And that's going to be an absolute game changer. So that's it. That's a recap of the last 4 months, trading. And yeah, we can see the overall stats here. February to November, but it's not November, it's May. 3,300 P&L, trade win rate 43%, 13 break evens, profit factor of 1.54, and the average win to loss is about 2. Now, one thing that I'm expecting all of this to change, because it wasn't until I think really the last few trades, because I have all of these trades where I am not getting 3R. Like, these are all 1R trades, but I took 2 1R trades. So I'm curious to see how this data starts changing now that I'm getting more and more reps at 3R under my belt. But again, look at the P&L curve right there. And even then, let's look at this. Let's change the date range real quick, just out of curiosity. How do we do this? We go, why is November through December 30th, 2025? I'm going to go this month. Oh, I see. It's wanting to do that. So we'll go, I see. So we'll go April. So we need to start, let's start March 3rd, that Monday. And we'll go to, what is this? The end of April? April 30th. March. Oh, I don't want March. I want April and May. Excuse me. So I'm going to go April, May 31st. There we go. Much better. So looking for these 2 months, April and May, 55.5% win rate, profit factor 3.5, average win to loss 2.84. So that's climbing up. Trade expectancy 255. And look at my Zella score, 88.56. Look at my cumulative P&L, just a steady climb. That's beautiful. So, such a massive difference between the bearish price delivery on the higher time frames and with the change from 1-to-1 to 1-to-3. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see. So I'm probably going to wrap it here. I think that's a good enough recap for where I'm at with backtesting. And starting with the very next month here on June, I'm going to start live recording these backtesting sessions. And then I can post the actual process, the trades. That'll all just be recorded. And I'll start sharing those episodes here on the YouTube channel.